How's it going, everybody? My name is Maciej Turski, and today I want to show you how you can change your guitar strings and easily set up your guitar. So let's go. This process might seem a bit intimidating at the beginning of a guitar journey. I remember when I started out, I'd rather go to the guitar store and hand in my guitar to professionals to do it for me. But it is very important to understand how your instrument works and how you can find the proper setup for yourself, because everybody has different hands, different sizes of their hands. They play different styles and just prefer different things, so many different things. Very important to find yourself a perfect balance that would work with your techniques and your own style. If you ask somebody else to set up guitar for you, they might do it as they would feel that would be best, but it not necessarily needs to work for you. I'm gonna show you step by step how you can go through the whole process, and hopefully that's gonna make it much easier later on for you. I'm gonna show you what tools do we need. Here we have a pair of wire clippers that's gonna help us to get rid of these ends of strings after we're done with the whole process. It's very important. We need something to clean our guitar with. I'm using this soft sponge. Pretty much anything would do, but remember not to use anything too harsh because you don't want to ruin the finish of your guitar. Lemon oil, we're going to put that to preserve our fretboard. Screwdriver is going to help us to do tiny adjustments on the bridge of our guitar and also remove cover plates. String winder, that just speeds up the whole process. Action ruler, that's going to help us to set up the height of our bridge. This pipe looking tool, maybe it's not very common to have it in your home, but it's easily available in any guitar store. It is used to adjust the tension of the rod in your guitar neck. Alright, so now set your guitar on a flat surface, make sure it's sturdy, and now we're gonna remove the old guitar strings first, and we're gonna clean our guitar. We're gonna make sure that all the dust is removed and all this grease and dirt from the fretboard is also gone, because if we slap on the new set of strings now, all this dirt is gonna get into our new guitar strings and it's gonna dull the sound a little bit, so that's what we want to avoid. We want to have fresh sound from the beginning, and we want to enjoy our fresh strings for as long as possible, instead of, making a bad job, I guess. So first of all, I'm gonna remove all the guitar strings. I'm using my string winder because it just gets the job done much faster. There you go. Okay, just loosen them all up. As our strings are off, I'm gonna put some oil on a fretboard first to let it soak in. What it's gonna do is gonna soak into the wood and it's gonna preserve it, but also it's gonna help us to actually clean it, because all this dried dirt that it's on the fretboard is gonna soak in slightly and it's gonna be easier to remove. And make sure that the whole surface of the fret is covered in oil. I'm gonna take a piece of cloth and just wipe my guitar and make sure that everything is just taken away. Now I took up the bridge and I'm gonna wipe that as well, very gently. Not break anything in here, but also to make sure that at least we've done some job in here too, without skipping. Beautiful. After about 3 minutes, I'm gonna find all the areas that I have excess of oil, spread it more evenly, and after this we're gonna walk away for about like 10 minutes. We can make ourselves a cup of coffee or something to let the guitar absorb all the oil, and then we're gonna carry on with the process. So take a little break. Good job. I think that this is the best part of the day now. We can actually refill the pot of coffee. Bury all your secrets in my skin. Okay, how is this looking? We can give it another minute. That's hot. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is clean all the fretboard and remove all this gunk from it. Also, we're gonna polish our frets and just make sure it's properly clean. If you haven't done this for a while, you're gonna see how shiny the frets become after a while. So it's really worth doing this. Okay, after you're done and you think you did the best you could, take a paper towel and just dry the fretboard properly. Just pop this bad boy in. Good job, you just clean the guitar. That's the first stage, and if you've done a proper job, then you're good to go. Now we're gonna move on to putting a new set. The strings that I'm using today are beefy slinkies from Ernie Ball. My previous set that I had on this guitar now was regular slinkies, which were 10 to 52 or 1048, maybe 1046. I don't remember. Regular slinkies anyway. And now I bought beefy slinkies, which are slightly thicker. First, remove all the strings from the package, of course. Spread them evenly so you can understand what's going on. Okay, now my recommendation is, if your guitar also has tunematic bridge, that means that you can remove this tail piece. If you're putting a new set of strings, make sure that you're putting the ones from the middle first, because that's going to help you with holding the bridge in place and it's not going to flick out. That happened to me a few times and it's really annoying. String G, pull it through a tape piece. First I can remove it. Now just snap it back in. Now the important part, we need to wind the string on a tuner, and there are many techniques for that, but one of my favorite applies to violin strings, which is E, B and G string. Obviously there are different types of machines, but mine's here are just like, they're vintage types, so there's no locking mechanism in this, but you can still lock your string in place to prevent it from slipping out, and I'm going to show you how to do this right now, because it is really helpful. So what you're gonna do is set your machine straight so you can easily put the string through as it goes. There you go. Make sure it stands, and now grab the string with your fingers before the machine and pull it backwards just like 1 inch or something. That will create a bit of an excess of string and it will allow you to wrap the string around the tuner. We don't want to do too many wraps though. We're aiming for about like 2. 3 is maximum, 4 would be total overkill. So pull it back just 1 inch and start spinning the tuner. And make sure you're holding the string all the time. But now, as soon as the tuner turned around about 180 degrees, grab the excess string on the other side of the tuner and pull it to the opposite direction of your wrapping. Just make sure you're doing it tightly. And wrap it around this string that is going towards the guitar. I hope that makes sense, but I'm pulling the string underneath right now. And then after it's underneath that string, I'm gonna go back again towards the wrap so we can create this little pocket for the string, and that will allow it to lock in place, which will help us with tuning stability later on. And there you go. Oh, I didn't do the perfect job yet with this lock, but careful with your eyes. Wait, bang. I don't really use this technique for any of the bass strings because of the winding on them. That creates a tension between the tuner machine and the string that it actually doesn't allow the string to slip so easily, so you don't really have to do that. So I'll show you how do I deal with these strings. So again, just set the machine straight so you can pull the string through. Make sure it stands. Grab the string and now pull it back just 1 inch and hold it in place. Take the string winder. Make your life easier. And now, as you can see, the excess string is going to approach my hand, so I'm trying to lead the string underneath this excess string first to create the first wrap, and the next time it's going to go around, I'm going to try to run it over the excess string, so the wrap is going to be on top of it. I'm holding the 10th string all the time here to make sure that the string is wrapped as tightly as possible in the machine, and it's not going to cause any problems with tuning later on when we start playing. So there you go. That should be ready. Maybe it's a bit too much. Okay, so if I would create another wrap, I would just go over this time. So that would go underneath it, as you can see right here. Okay, now make sure you're cutting all these excess strings out because it's very easy to poke your eye with it and it's very dangerous. It doesn't seem like, but it is. And beautiful, we just finished putting on new strings. Great job. I'm sure that must have been a bit tough because I'm sweating here. So I'm gonna go wash my hands now because I still have some oil from the fretboard and all that stuff. We don't want it on our fresh strings, so go wash your hands. Alright, beautiful job. Now we're moving on to the last process, which is setup of your guitar. First of all, we're gonna need to tune up guitar. So I'm using my tuner here on the head rush. Tune up your guitar to the desired tuning, because later on what we'll be doing is balancing out all the forces that work on our guitar. Okay, our guitar is in tune. So now what we have to do is adjust the neck of our guitar. Our guitar's neck is actually not perfectly straight, so what we're looking for is a kind of like a bow shape. Not too much, because if you're holding your guitar like this, you shouldn't be able to see it. But the way you can actually check it is place your guitar right to your eye like this, and then by looking at the neck you should be able to see a slight curve, but it's just very gentle. The other way you can actually check it is by placing the finger on the first fret of your guitar and the last fret of your guitar, and then by hitting with your pinky in the middle. What you're looking for is a just tiny bit of action, not too much, it's just a little hit, it's less than a millimeter. If it's not there, that means that your guitar neck is too tight, and instead of being like a bow shape, it's going opposite direction, and that means your strings might be pushing on the fretboard a little bit. So what we need to do is loosen up your neck. So it needs to go like this. To tighten it, you need to go clockwise. It's kind of similar like twisting a bottle. So if you want to twist the bottle, you need to turn it clockwise, right? If you want to loosen it up, you go anti-clockwise. If you ever forget it, just pick up a button, figure out which way you should go. My guitar, maybe it has a bit too much of a bump, so I'm gonna tighten it just a touch. Don't do any big adjustments here. With my guitar I think this action over here is a bit too big, so I might need to minimize that by tightening my neck. So instead of my neck being like this, it's gonna slightly straighten up. So I'm gonna tighten it, which means I'm gonna go clockwise. Don't do any big adjustments with this screw because it's very fragile. Place this tool over here and turn it by like 45 degrees maximum. Check it, how it feels. If it's right, leave it the way it is. Maybe push it slightly more, but never go with like 5 turns like with a wrench or whatever you would do. This is not what you're doing. Here's just a precision, okay? So go just a tiny bit. I'm gonna try to find my spot right here. Here's a bit tighter. With every adjustment you're gonna do, you need to tune up your guitar again, because all the forces are gonna slightly change. We wanna make sure that we are all the time in the perfect spot with the tension of our strings. It's not gonna go crazy overboard, but you know, it's just make sure we're doing everything right. Because you know, perfection is just making sure that every single step was followed properly. That's what we're looking at. Okay, how is this feeling? That is beautiful. Next thing we can do is adjust the action of our strings, which means the height of the bridge. Right here, I'm gonna use my action ruler and bring it over on the 12th fret and just check how high is the E string at the top and the bottom of your neck. Here what it says, I have like a little cheat sheet over here, and it says that for electric guitar what we're looking for is about like 6 string should be on 1.5 or 2 millimeters away from the fretboard, and the first E string, the top one, should be 1 or 1.5, somewhere in that range. Of course, this is not the rule. If you prefer something different, just go for it. So at the moment, I'm on about 125. It feels a bit maybe. Okay, what I'm here at, it's 125. I'll be looking for about 150 because that's where it feels right. And sometimes I also tune my guitar to drop these. So it's better to have a bit extra action there, so you actually allow your string to travel a bit more, because obviously in lower tunings there's going to be a bit more of vibration going on there. I'm going to lift my bridge by unscrewing one of these 2 screws, by just lifting the bridge slightly. If it is a bit too hard for you to turn any of these screws, then you can loosen up the strings, and that should make it easier. Because sometimes you just need to do micro adjustments and you cannot actually see whether the bridge is raising or falling down. You can always use the tuner, and once you're turning you can see whether the pitch is rising. If it's rising, that means you're going with your bridge higher. If your pitch of the string is getting flat, that means you're getting lower with your bridge as well. It feels right. So the last thing we're gonna do is set the intonation of our guitar, which means we need to make sure that the distance between the 1st fret and the 12th fret is exactly the same, like the distance between the 12th fret and the bridge. How we can adjust it is by using these saddles in our bridge. What we're trying to achieve is the pitch should be exactly the same of the open string as when you play it on the 12th fret of your guitar. Okay, so my E string now is perfectly in tune when I play it open, but on the 12th fret it's slightly flat. So what I'm gonna do is turn this screw here anti-clockwise. Just about one turn maybe. Let's see, now I need to tune up the string again. Okay, and it seems like it's matching. And that's what we have to do with every single string. Okay, A seems to be slightly off. Also, it's a bit flat, so I'm gonna go anti-clockwise as well. I went a bit overboard. D string on the other hand, the open string is perfectly in tune, but then when I hit the one on the 12th fret, it's slightly sharp. So I need to go clockwise in this case. Perfect, there you go. Our guitar now has fresh guitar strings and is properly set up for us. Obviously I did give you a little guidance through like how far you should set up the strings from the fretboard and anything like this, but feel free to experiment with that. Just don't go too crazy with things. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a professional, so everything that I showed you here is just the way I do it and the way it worked for me best. But I'm not a professional, and if I'm doing anything that is crucially wrong, please let me know in the comments below so nobody else is gonna follow my mistakes. Now we can compare the sound of my old strings that I recorded at the beginning of this video. So the way I'm gonna record this is I'm gonna use my head rush with exactly the same preset as I recorded my old strings with. I'm not gonna adjust any EQ, neither on the head rush, neither on Logic, because I want to use exactly the same settings so we can get precise comparison of just the tone of the guitar and how much of a difference the new strings and the setup did, okay? So let's hear it. Here, I could definitely feel much more punch from these strings, but that's also because they are slightly thicker, but the freshness of them bring up much better quality. Top end is not so harsh anymore, low end cleans up as well, and it's not so muddy, and it's just, you know, the sound is much more consistent, I feel like, and it's much better to work with it, and it just sounds much more pleasant to my ears, but that may be my opinion, not necessarily yours. That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something, and if you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. That would really support me. I wish you a lovely day, and I'm just gonna carry on jamming now. I'll see you later. Take care.